And I was 5 years ago, I was in deep debt and broke, and I was 54 and single mom. I thought, I can't go online now and take time to make money. I've got to organize like immediately in the simplest way. I just very simply, and I wrote social media posts. Simple. I didn't have an audience. I didn't know anybody. I just spoke with people, and I got $2 million in 2 months. No ads. The basics still work. Human communication, it still works. We've helped over 500 people do the same simple strategies.
I really scaled your coaching business to over 4 million. What were the strategies that made this possible?
I call it the organic triangle. 3 things.
So you successfully scaled your coaching business to over 2 million using organic marketing. What were the core strategies that made this possible?
Okay, it's over 4 million now. I think you got the old bio. So what made it possible? I was just thinking before I got on, I've kept things so simple. There's so much you can go down like rabbit holes of very complicated email strategies and percentages, and there's all sorts of stuff that you can go down to to make money. And I was just thinking about emails. There's just all of this very complex percentages and open rates and sequences, and there's people that do that. And it's really important if you have a sort of small deliverable product and a huge email list, you got to really watch those. So what I did was I realized when I got online 5 years ago that I'm not good at tech. I'm never going to be good at tech. I'm better, but it's not what I want to be good at. And I thought, okay, there's all this funnel stuff and the Russell Brunson stuff and building the funnels and the landing pages and the copy and the triggers and all of this and hooks. And I just thought that is just too hard for me. And that's so long. It's going to be so long before I learn all this stuff. And I know a lot of people that spent years learning all that stuff and they're still not making money.
Yeah.
So I just thought, how do I get online? And I was 5 years ago, I was in deep debt and broke, and I was 54 and single mom. I thought, I can't go online now and take time to make money. I've got to organize like immediately in the simplest way. So that's what I got online. I thought, what do I know? I know how to, and I was doing that for 8 years offline networking event. And I thought, I just need to get out and figure out how to do out what I was doing offline, but in an online. And that's what I did. And I just very simply, and I wrote social media posts. Simple. I didn't have an audience. I didn't know anybody. I just spoke with people, and I got $2 million in 17 months with no ads and no email on my own. And I thought, okay. And people were like, okay, I want that, because a lot of people aren't good at tech and they're not techie. They're not, a lot of these people that are coaches used to be digital marketers, and they're all into the tech and the numbers and all that. And a lot of us don't know how to do that. I did it very simply. I have an email list now. We're not like scientific about it. Maybe we should be. Maybe that's the next step, is hire somebody to be more scientific with my email list. But that's how I did it. And we've just very simply taught people how to talk to people, how to communicate with people, how to get them on a call, how to sell with integrity. Because the other thing is, the whole old way of selling is just wrong. A numbers thing, and people are numbers. And I know that life is ones and zeros, but it doesn't mean we have to treat people like ones and zeros. So
Yes.
that's what I did, and I've been doing that for 5 years, and I've just grown it, and it's great. We've helped over 500 people do the same simple strategies.
I really love that story of yours. I feel I listened to this podcast today, and they were talking about how constraints breeds creativity.
Mhm.
Actually, people with more funding and more money are less likely to be successful than people who start from scratch, essentially. And I feel like your story encapsulates that idea, and it just shows that if you're determined enough, you will figure out how to make it happen.
Absolutely. When you have like, what do I do with all this? I experiment with a lot of different marketing things just to experiment. Most of them, all of them have not worked. And yesterday I thought, there you have it. Mine works. It's better than any of these other solutions that I try to I experiment a lot, and I spend a lot of money. Okay. Because I have a lot of money I can spend. And I was like, mine works better. It just works better. Of course, I want to scale, but ads have never worked. I've tried all sorts of ads. I didn't do it myself. I paid a lot of people and a lot of money down the drain, but I tested it. And I thought, okay, these are going to work. Ads don't work well for certain niches like coaches. They really don't work that well anymore. So it's like back to basics. But you're right. It was like basically this has to work because it just had to work. I thought I just have to figure this out. Grassroots, bootstrapping, and it works. And it's the basics still work. Human communication, it still works. And if you have some sort of like low end digital product or a real product and you count on a lot of numbers, sure, you got to get those email lists right. And of course, I said I could improve in many ways, tech wise. But then I'm thinking, okay, but it's working better than a lot of people that are all techie. There's always room for improvement. I'm not always testing things, as I said, but nothing's worked as well as my organic marketing. Not one thing.
I love that. So which platform do you focus on mainly?
We help people on 3 platforms because the thing is, with all the coaches and consultants that we help, some platforms work better for certain offers. So let's say you had a kind of leadership executive coaching offer. You really should be on LinkedIn, right? That's just a good example. Yeah, and then say you're a dating coach, probably Instagram or Facebook would be better for you. But although I've seen some dating coaches be successful also on LinkedIn. So it just depends. I feel it out. We have trainings and expertise on LinkedIn, Instagram, and Facebook because with those 3 platforms, everybody can be successful. Every coach can be successful on one or more of those.
So yeah, I feel like so does this mean that you only work for specific niches? So or are there no constraints to that?
This for 5 years, I've concentrated on coaches, consultants, and also online service providers. Like we get some digital marketers coming in that really need to know organic marketing to help their clients because they're all
Mm.
very aware that they need both. And that's the gap. And they come to me and they go, I really just need to learn this now because we need to have a solution for our clients that the ads aren't working that, and we need to be able to teach them or work in conjunction. It's known. And very like I had an email marketer actually that needed he's good at email, but he didn't know about organic social media marketing. Yes, if it can be done organically. I even helped a financial advisor. He said, this works amazing. Okay. Because he understood the application. I said, sure, it would work. Yeah. So of course you can come in, but it's not like I'm marketing to them. Now I do have, so that's for my bread and butter coaching offer. We have 2 different offers there. One's a 12-week and one's a whole year with us. And I also have a very high-end offer that is for high-end CEOs that need help with everything. It's called Private Label Advisory. And that is usually by appointment only. And also people that are exiting, like there are a lot of people exit and they've made millions and millions of dollars and they don't know what to do with their lives. So we help them. I help them figure out charity, foundation, or another business or not. What do you want to do? Usually they don't want to just so and they feel lost when like their identity. It's like losing your job in a way. They exit sometimes with so much money and they're okay, but what do I do? What now? So those are the 2 markets there. And again, that's by private, like usually only people that know people say, hey, you should speak with Jeanne. Again, very high end. That's a small arm of my business, another arm of my business.
I love that. So could you walk us through the most effective LinkedIn and Facebook organic marketing strategies that coaches and consultants can use to attract high ticket clients?
Sure. It's very simple. I call it the organic triangle. Okay. So it's just really simple. 3 things. Number 1 is you have to be super clear on who you're serving. So who's your market and what the offer is. And believe it or not, most people aren't clear on their offer. It's just a thing that they're not super clear. Like you can't sell something unless you're clear on what that is. What is it? What's the it? You can't sell a house if you're not sure where it is and whether it's 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms or 1 or whether it's an HOA or you can't sell the house. It's we have a house for you. Where is it? I'm not sure. Somewhere in Florida. How many bedrooms? I think 2. What's the price? Not sure. So you're going to sell the house? No. Okay. And sometimes people run their businesses that way. They have a certain end. So we help get very clear on market, offer, and price. So that's the first part of the pyramid: market, offer, price. The offer, who for, price, solid, and irresistible. An irresistible offer that's better than all the other offers out there. Okay, then the second part is your messaging and your content. So the messaging is the message on your socials that tells people. I call it the dolphin call, because you're a dolphin and your people are dolphins, and you got to be on the same radio frequency, which dolphins are. So you got to be able to communicate to your dolphins so they're like, yeah, that's me. I resonate with that language. And oh, that's what I need. Yeah. So that messaging, which seems very simple, is not. It's very hard to nail that. So we help with that. That's the second part. And in that second one is content, because content and messaging are all messaging. Getting your content right. We help with certain types of content that make people put their hands up and say, oh, yeah, that interests me, and has them stop and read it and get them into a conversation. And the second part is also the conversation and getting them onto the third part, which is a sales call. The third part is a killer heart-based sales strategy where you are serving and helping when you're selling, and not just trying to manipulate or be tactical on the call to trick people into saying yes, which is the old way of selling, which is awful, actually. So that's the three parts, the triangle. And that's really all you need. It takes some mastery, but it's not hard and it's not complicated. It's not complicated. It takes mastery to learn it and get better and to get the clients.
I really like your metaphor on the dolphin language. I think it's very true because I do see some messaging really speak to me, especially as a founder. And I know it wouldn't speak to other people, but yeah, I just feel like once you get that, then things are a lot easier to do, especially with content. Because I think a lot of people, they start with content and they think, hey, if I just post a lot, then it would work. But actually, you would have to get the messaging right first.
Because then they see the content and then they go to your timeline and they go, oh, wow. That they see the content and they go to your timeline and they go, I'm not sure what this person does. It's very complicated and it's long and wordy, because they want to fit so much in. And people usually have
Yeah.
long descriptions when they're insecure, because they're asking the world for permission. When you over-explain yourself, you're literally asking others for permission in your life too. When you over-explain, you're consciously asking the other for approval and permission. And that's why people, so many words, it's weakening their stance. Instead of I do this, boom, okay, that's da 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 da. You're like, okay, I'm lost, and it signals subconsciously to other people that you're not terribly confident either.
So a very short sales pitch is something you'd recommend.
It's not a sales pitch. The messaging should never be a sales pitch. It should just be telling people what you do, the value. I help certain people get XYZ results. So instead of not a lot of people go, I'm and they put the title. But really, nobody cares about your title. They don't. Sometimes they care if you have a PhD, then you should put that at the end, because it does add authority, because it impresses people. Oh, this person is doctorate in something. I'm a XYZ coach, or I'm a. But they're like, okay, what's in it for me? People want to know what's in it for them at all times. That's just human nature. And it's not a bad thing. It's just human nature. And you can fight it. You can say it's terrible and we're all selfish and narcissistic. However, it's human nature. Humans, especially when they're online and they're looking at other businesses, they're wondering, okay, how are you going to help me? What's in it for me? Instead of I'm a something. Okay, I'm good for you. How does that help me? Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So speak to the customer, not just talk about your authority. The authority matters a bit, but it's mostly about the customers.
You're building authority by saying, I'm helping you get these results. And then they see your posts and there's authority and there's social proof, and it's a combination.
So what type of content have you found to be the most engaging and effective for growing your audience organically on social media?
I have this post that I call an action post. And we have various trainings on different ways of creating different types of action posts. And literally the action post is to artfully have people put their hand up and say, I want something. So they do an action. That's why I call it an action post.
So it's like a call to action, right? But the whole entire post is a call to action.
There is a call to action in it. I just don't, I call it, I named them action posts. I should trademark that. instead of call to action posts. I just call them the action posts. There's different, as I said, there's different types of action posts. So you're correct or not correct. The whole thing won't be a pitch, no. Unless it's a very tiny one, then it is an action post, the whole thing.
Okay.
There's different variations of how to do an action post that we teach in the program.
Okay. So it's mostly like a sales post rather than like a growth post, would you
Yes,
say?
it's not just an information giving. It's not it's not a pure giving value. Here's a tip about mindset with no call to action on it. It has
Yeah.
a call to action on it somewhere.
So how can coaches and consultants establish themselves as authorities in their niche through organic methods? And why is this important for long-term success?
As I said, the triangle. And also, once you get clients, it's important to show those results on social media. Screenshots of clients saying, this is what let's say you're a dating coach. Oh my gosh, I love Panida because Panida helped me find the man of my life. Screenshot. Or I love Panida because I couldn't get over my divorce and now I am and I'm dating again. Screenshot. So it's showing social proof of results and leveraging that proof once you start get going. And people say to me, but Jeanne, I haven't had a client yet. You don't need that to get a client. I certainly, when I started, didn't have a client yet. We all start somewhere, and you consistently show results and that it works what you're doing.
So, for example, if you don't have a client, I know that's harder than after you've had a client. So what bridges that gap?
Bridges the gap is just doing it. Bridges the gap is to not have that thought. That's a chicken and egg scenario. And when you get stuck in your life or your business or your mindset or anything in a chicken and egg scenario, stop it. You're never going to win that one because it's circular. And so when people say, I haven't, I said, why are we having this discussion? I don't say it that way, but I'm thinking that because I'm thinking, wait a minute, we've got to get the first client. So what I say is, okay, let's just focus on getting your first client. Oh, but I haven't. Yeah, nobody had a first client when they didn't have the first client. So it's just go get it. And once you have your first one, you have proof of concept and you can go use the same strategies and get the next one. And it's just, I think what people want is they want 500 things at once instead of one thing and then another. And that's how I go one thing. You don't get good at get a very, very low end offer and you look that up and putting my emails and you have the list, get list. So what I think is like really about let's just work on getting that first client with, with speaking with people. And also don't lie. Like my first client asked online, I had other clients offline. He said, have you ever helped people with this before? I said, no, but I've helped myself. And you're on the call. And he goes, that's very true. He goes, I love that you didn't lie. I said, I'm never going to lie. Never going to lie. And he goes, great. I love it. He goes, okay, it worked for me. So I'll do it. And then he came in and he got a 30K client like the first week. And he said, just being in your mindset and in your field brought in, because he believes in the law of attraction. And he said, do you believe in the law of attraction? I said, I believe in the law of attraction with action. He goes, we got a 30K client right away. So then what did I have? I had a testimonial from that offer. Now I had other testimonials from my 8 years of business strategy and all that, consulting, strategy, and executive coaching. But I was not going to use testimonials that did not apply to a new offer because it's not ethical. So I said to him, yes, I have results, but not for this. So, he goes, show me those anyway. I said, sure. So they could see I was a good coach. And I said, it doesn't apply to this offer though. And he goes, I get it. I was very clear on that. And I think it's really important to be honest about things because it will come back to bite you that you're pretending this is from this and it's just not right. So you want right energy and that goes a long way because then the client's, okay, that was really told me everything, even though she didn't need to. And now they have more trust. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. So building that trust early on and trusting in the process and not having that kind of just forgetting about that imposter syndrome in the
Right.
beginning because you have to do something. Because no one actually starts from like $1 million. So actually everyone had to start from zero. But it's just that when people are successful, it's very hard to see their process and even imagine when they were at zero. I think that's why these podcasts, I feel like it really helps people like feel like they can start from scratch and not feel all of that insecurity.
Yes, and that's one of my missions. That's why I go on a bunch of podcasts. Because if people can hear that somebody was 54 years old, single mom, broke, in deep debt, okay, wondering what to do, and said, I'm going to go online and learn how to get clients online from scratch. And I'm not techie. I couldn't even use Zoom when I first started. I was not techie. Then it gives them hope because then there's no excuse. They can't say, even if they were a single mom, broke, in deep debt, blah, 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 they could say, she did it. And by the way, she's 54 and I'm 32. So there's always, I want people to not have that excuse. I want them to say to themselves, you know what? I'm younger than she is, so I have more time. Great. First thing. Also, I have a husband and he's supportive. She did not. Also, we're not in deep debt. We're in a little bit of debt, but we both have jobs, or one of us has a job. Already, they're in like a way better situation than me, financially, support-wise, panic-wise,
Yeah.
right? And they're probably more techie than I. If they are younger than me, they're going to be way more techie, and they're going to be far more conversant in social media. Well, now I am, but then when I started. So what I'm saying is, not many people can say, oh, that's because, or she was this, or she was already wealthy, or her husband supported her, or none of that. Zero. Okay. In fact, I never got any child support at all. Not any at all. So I'm adding that bit because they could think, oh, maybe she was getting support from her divorce. No, none. Zero. So behind the 8 ball, if I can do it, I am very convinced that anyone can. You just have to get help. And I always paid for help. I put it on credit cards. I shifted balances around on 0%. I did what it took to use other people's money on credit, which is a godsend. I was so grateful that I had credit. I didn't have that attitude, oh, I got credit debt. I had the attitude, thank goodness I had credit to use because we weren't kicked out of our home and we had a place to live and good food and my kids didn't feel the pinch. They never felt it, okay, even though I didn't want them to. So that I did well. And I was grateful. I thought, oh my goodness, I'm so grateful I have credit debt. And people are like, what? I was like, what if I didn't have credit? People don't see things correctly in the right way. They're not always, how should I put this? A lot of people will always see the negative side of something. And I used to be like that. So again, they can't say, oh, this woman was always positive. So I'm just going to go through everything so that nobody has any excuse listening to this podcast that I was very negative. I went through a lot and I was like, oh, it's never going to work. I felt like a failure in my life. Been through all that several times and several different eras. So I've fixed or improved, and my mindset's not perfect. None of ours are. However, somebody that was that deep in debt became a millionaire in 17 months and has helped 500 people to generate. And, people are crying when they start making money when they come into my program because they never thought they were going to get clients online without ads and tech. And they're like, I'm not techie and no funnels and none of that. They're like, wow, I'm making more money than all those people out there doing all the funnels. Not all, but a lot, most. So I feel like we have to stop making excuses that I'm not good enough. One thing to say is to say, okay, what do you want to make? You want to make $1 million. Say to yourself, and this works. Who am I not to make $1 million? Not who am I to? Who am I? Say it over and over again every day. Who am I not to make $1 million? Boom, I just felt a shift. Although I've already made, I should say, who am I not to make $1 million a month? Right? For me, that's what I am saying. Okay. Who am I not to make $1 million? And it overrides the whole imposter. Who am I to be who think I could do this? If you do that every day, put it on a post-it, everybody. Who am I not to make $1 million? Who am I not to make $1 million? And you feel the power the more you say it because your subconscious is now getting a new message.
Yeah, definitely. I'm adding that to my affirmation list.
Good.
Yeah. What I'm very curious about is that you said that you were negative before, right? What was the shift? What books did you read? What made you shift into this mindset?
Okay, it took a while, but it was just a realization that we get that from our families, from culture. It's a very rare thing. My dad was very positive, okay? It's a very rare thing for people to grow up in a family where both of the parents are just super positive, and isn't that great? So I realized I wanted to be more like that for my kids. And I thought, and they're like, "Oh, mom, you're so positive." They sometimes say that. I'm like, "That's good." And wasn't that I'd be like, "Wasn't that fun?" And they said that, and my sister does this too. And my niece said, "Oh my gosh, you're just like my mom." She always was like, "Isn't this fun? Wasn't that great?" And she said it did make their lives more fun. So I just wanted my kids to, especially during their early years, to just make it more fun. Wasn't that great? And even if it's something tiny and amazing, something, yeah, it was something tiny, but it's the way you see it that they would then think, "Oh, that was amazing." Other people be like, "Oh, that was not that great." And it's really just influence. It was amazing that we went on that. And sometimes it was free stuff. That was an amazing, that, oh yeah, it was really great. I realized after reading a lot of books, a lot of mindset, people that see the cup. And I thought, I am cup half empty. And I realized one day, I thought, I'm the cup half empty person. I don't want to be that. I don't want to be that person. I was a big complainer too. So I have just basically never complain, never explain. You know who said that? It was Betty Davis.
Who?
Betty Davis, the movie star. Never complain, never explain. Never complain. Yep. And never explain. Because explaining means you're asking permission and approval from other people when you over explain
Yeah.
stuff. So I started just thinking, and it was hard. I got to change. So I started doing mindset affirmations. I also started doing creative visualization years ago. And that really helped too, and that's in the book. And I'll tell you the book that's my favorite book on all of this is Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz.
Okay.
Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Maltz. I read that when I was 17. And it helped me when I was 17. It was out of print. My dad had it in his library, paperback. And then about 5 or 6 years ago, they discovered it and started printing it again. And it's a hit now. And I thought, that's the book that I'd never seen before. And I never saw again till recently, the last 5 or 6 years. They discovered it and reprinted it because it is a gem. It's a masterpiece. It was out of print for the longest time. Reprinted it. And maybe it was before then that they discovered it, but I didn't see it again for a long while. And in that, it was probably some people have been doing this for centuries, but the first time I'd read to do a creative visualization where you close your eyes and you imagine things the way you want them to be. See, when you do that, your brain doesn't know whether it's real or not. Your brain, and when you're rethinking trauma, your brain thinks it's happening right then. That's why it's not a good idea to go back into trauma. You're reliving it. And your brain thinks it's
Yeah.
happening because the thoughts are impressed on your brain as if it's happening then. So the good news is that when you're thinking stuff and you're closing your eyes and imagining how you want stuff to be, your brain actually thinks it's happening. And the more it thinks it's happening, it will happen. Psycho-Cybernetics, I think, is the best book ever. I have another one I like a lot called How to Get the Life You Want. I think anything you want. How to get anything you want. I have it actually, not right here. The name of it. Another someone wrote this in my How to Get Whatever You Want, I think it is, or something like that. So that's another good one. Yeah, so it's really just, and it's hard when things aren't going well.
Yeah.
It really is. And even now, when something doesn't go well, I have to really get myself back on track. It's okay. And also, I do a gratitude practice every day. I write down everything I'm grateful for. Sometimes it's 3, but then sometimes I'll just do 3. Sometimes if I'm quick, but then I'll usually just go through every single thing. And then that gets you into another state of, oh, that might not be going well, but all this is really amazing. So that's how you do it, is you grow what's going, and it overshadows what maybe you're complaining about or feeling not so great or negative about.
I love that. I love that you're talking about the law of attraction, affirmations, manifestations, because I don't think this has been spoken about on my podcast before. And I'm sure that most of the founders and CEOs I've hosted did actually use it. And yeah, I feel like it's really important because I feel like mindset goes a long way with business. And I feel like you can't have a successful business if your mindset isn't strong.
You can't. If you did manage to get a business with mindset not straight, often those are the people that lose their businesses.
Yeah, I do feel like that is possible, especially if you're in a negative mindset too long.
Mm.
You can lose something that's actually good, and yet you manifested and it was going well, but then you became all negative about it.
Right. Or they didn't have a bigger vision of where it's going to go. Or I think it's hard to run a business if you're just in pain all the time. And I think having a negative mindset or a panicky or anxious all the time, it's painful. So I had to work a lot on my anxiety too, a lot. So I do like Joe Dispenza. Do you know Joe Dispenza? Change. So
Yeah.
that's helped a lot. So that's more hypnotherapy. So now we'll throw that in. Yeah, it really is. How do you feel every day? Do you want to feel anxious every single day in your business? I didn't. I was for a while, and I thought I got to fix this because I want to feel great every day. And also, I have a modality that I created from various modalities called instant shift technique, which gets my
Mhm.
clients from a state of icky feelings to a state of complete modulated, very level emotions.
That sounds awesome.
Mm.
So yeah, let's circle back to business tactics. So what are your go-to tactics for generating quality leads organically, and how do you nurture these leads to convert them into clients?
Okay, so I think I already spoke about that. The triangle.
Okay.
That's it. That's it.
Okay, no problem.
It's
Yep.
social media, posts, conversations. They're interested in a call, and then a very heart-based sales conversation, and they decide whether they want to work with us or not.
Awesome. So what systems or processes did you implement to handle an increasing number of clients without sacrificing quality?
Great. I have a team. I have a coaching team, and it works out. We have a sort of, not a sort of, we have a system where our clients get as much coaching as they want or need. And that generous, believe it or not, it might seem counterintuitive, but I realized, and it came from attachment parenting actually, because you give your kids as much attention as they want. They're never saying, Mom, yes. Children that get the attention right away, they're not spoiled. It's a myth. They then realize I'm listened to, and they're less clingy later on, and they're more self-sufficient human beings. So the paying attention to children at all times when they're young is a very good strategy called attachment parenting. And it works. Because my kids they're not like fighting for my attention. They're just good. They feel secure in my attention. And they're not like, oh my gosh, my mother, they're good. In fact, they don't want my attention sometimes. Good. So basically, I got a team. So I have a coaching team and I have experts. So we have a sales coach, heart-based. We have a content and copy coach that used to run Universal Studios video content. We have a mindset coach who's also a theta healer. Okay. Then we have another head coach, another who does one-on-one. And I do one-on-one and group. So because we're sharing the work and it's done in such a good way because they're experts at certain things and it just works so well. And I've managed to scale this. And I have some very small back-end team at the moment, actually very small. I had more people and then it was a little too big. So I scaled down. Now I was testing because the more people you have to manage, that becomes another job. So there's a sweet
Yeah.
spot where it's not so much management, but it's very efficient. And I'm finding that sweet spot right now. People don't talk about that a lot. We're just going to hire all these people. You end up, when you have too many people, then you become a manager. And I don't like having my job be a manager. I want to get people that are self-sufficient. We all check in. We have morning huddles. And then they train each other. And then sometimes one's managing another, but they check into me. So I try to make it that way because then I enjoy my business more because I'm not spending all of my time managing because that's not really what I want to do. I want to coach. And also the marketing piece. I do a lot of the marketing and I have help with that, but I do some of that. I don't mind that actually, but I don't like managing a lot of people. It's not my thing.
Yeah, I understand what you're talking about. I think a lot of people, they want huge businesses,
Mhm.
but they don't realize that if they have a lot of people on their team, they'll just become managers essentially, and they won't even get to do the things that they loved joining this business in the first place.
And then you could get a number two and then that number two. And that's hard to find. It's hard to find somebody
Yeah.
that understands your business and is going to be able to be your number two and take care of a lot of that. It's hard to find.
Yeah. So can you explain the beyond mindset concept and how it contributes to achieving significant growth in business?
Sure, this is the beyond mindset. I call it my beyond mindset because there's like everyday mindset, right?
Mhm.
Everyday mindset is do your affirmations and do this. And so that's just everyday mindset. Okay. Now, beyond mindset is mind blowing. It's who am I not to be making $1 million? It's pushing it. And I don't mean push, it's really beyond. It's not the little everything. Okay, do my affirmations. You know what I mean? That's just everyday garden variety mindset. Okay. Also, mindset. It shouldn't be a set. It should be mind opening. And the first thing is to understand who we really are. That's the beyond part. It's not just I'm here, I'm Panida, and I'm doing these things, and it's very just slapped on, right? First of all, let's get to the depths of this. Who are you really? Who am I? Who are we? Because now we're like going back a layer. Who are we? Let's face it, when you were born, you're the same person. You look different. If you get married and you change, your name will be different. If a guy wants
Yeah.
to change his name formally, his name will be different. You might go by a nickname. You might do something and do some sort of facial difference, like people do all sorts of plastic surgery, right? Okay. You get older. So when you look in the mirror, you will look different over your lifetime, from a baby discovering to a 10-year-old. It's definitely, we all agree we look different, right? We age and all sorts of stuff, right? Our name could be different. Are we the same person?
Yeah.
We are. We are the
Yeah.
same person. And when you understand that no matter what you go through, you are the same person, it's empowering. When they say, oh, the person I used to be. No, there was no used to be. We're the same. How you used to act, what you used to go through, how you used to be in the world. Yeah, sure, that can change. Definitely, because people go through stuff to become drug addicts. However, the essence, no matter what, who you really are when you're born is pure love. That's it. I just felt a shift then. When you realize this, all the blame, the shame, and all that stuff, like I should be better. And I'm not saying if you're doing bad stuff not to repent. I'm not talking about people that are criminals or doing the wrong thing, or even if you're not a criminal, just
Yeah.
living your life not in the right way, doing immoral, unethical, illegal stuff. Okay. Let's talk about somebody that's not doing all that. Okay. And even if you were doing all that, that might get you out of it, because who you really are is not what you're doing right now. Who you really are is pure love. Let's go back to there. That could be helpful for people that are not living in integrity. Okay. And it's just unleashing. I'm just pure love. I was born. I'm the same spirit. We are the same spirit. And whatever's happened in my life, that's just stuff. That's just stuff. However, I am that same essence. Okay. So that's the core. When you get to that first and then do mindset, it's different. Okay. And when you say it might not be you, but I'm channeling divine providence or God, or I believe in God. So I don't believe that anything I do is because just of me. I was lucky to be able to take action and listen to signs or pray, I was lucky that I listened to take action. Like when I got online, a voice in my head said, if not now, when? I could have ignored that. Okay. We ignore a lot of stuff and we pay attention to stuff we shouldn't pay attention to. Like we make bad decisions, and somehow our intuition is not always real. Like sometimes we think that fear is our intuition, but it's not. And we think that we're going to go for something. It's because my intuition said no. It's because it seemed like it was easy, or loads of fat cash were going to fall on your head. So that's why you hired that marketing person, because it sounded great. It's too good to be true, but you ignored that it was too good to be true. Okay. So now I'm not saying who to invest in or not. I don't, but the fact is, and also to not kick yourself if things don't work out. Yeah, there's going to be bad decisions. And a good investor says to himself or herself, if I do 10 investments and 7 work out, they're rock stars. So how come every time we make a bad decision, we're beating ourselves up? Let's look at 10 decisions. We're 7 good. Great. You're winning. And that's not how people see things. They see things in absolute. I made a decision and it didn't work out. I'm a complete failure. I lost this money. No, do the numbers game. Because again, Any investor that wins 7 out of 10 times, that's like amazing numbers for any investor.
Yeah.
That's just known. So the beyond mindset, who are you really? I'm pure love. Operate from there. Just know it. Okay. Who am I not to? I'm pure love. Who am I not to make $1 million like all those other people out there? They're making the $1 million because they have a better mindset. That's why they got through this. It's not that they're way better than you, because most of them aren't rocket scientists. The people that are making it, I'm not a rocket scientist by any means. I just got my act together and said, this is how I'm operating. And I did my morning mindset every single morning when I was started online, and it really helped me. And I was not like, oh, I'm the best. No, I was like, I'm just going to get myself into a good enough state that I can function. And that's what you have to do at first. Get yourself to a different state, where a state of possibility. And then beyond mindset is, I can do whatever I want. I can do this within reason. If you're not talented at gymnastics, maybe you won't be in the Olympics for gymnastics in the American team. Let's not go that far. There's certain things that not everybody can do. But as far as business, you can do anything.
Really love that mindset. I feel like a lot of people, they get scared because like when they fail once, they really feel like they're failures, and then they define themselves as that. When actually all of the successful people, they have failed multiple times, failed way more than all of these people who are calling themselves failures. And I feel like having that mindset that you are like pure love since the beginning and even now, and no matter what you've gone through, I feel like it can really help people, because I think, people don't define themselves correctly. And I feel like that just holds people back.
It does, because they just feel like, oh, I'm so broken. No, you're not broken.
Yeah.
Nobody's broken. They're just undone. Like when a shoelace comes undone, it's not broken. Shoelace is not broken. It's undone. You can just tie another bow. It's a different way of seeing it. Broken's
I love
broken.
that.
It's just undone. It's just temporary. You can just tie it again, and now we got a whole shoelace. Yeah, I feel that people really define themselves as failures, or it's not going to work. I failed so many times in my life with so many different things, like so many huge failures, like huge. My marriage was failed. I don't let that define my life. It's something that didn't work. It's a huge thing, though. You can get past that. Probably the most important thing is to have a good marriage in a life, right? Even that, I thought, hey, move on. Don't let that define you. And I think people could be more gentle on themselves and stop. They might do one thing and, oh, that didn't work, and now I'm terrible and I can't do anything. Develop some grit and resilience. That didn't work, and that's okay. We all fail, and that's how you learn. Try another thing. Okay, that failed too? That's okay too. Keep going. That also failed? It's okay. I'm going to keep going. And that's how I did it. And I just have no choice. Eventually, I just got to keep doing it. It's hard because there is no sign of working. Keep going. And then when you do have it work, it's amazing. It's life-changing. And you deserve it. And you're like, I'm not saying people have to suffer as much as I did, because I seem to have to try things more than most people. And maybe that's my path, so that I test more so I can tell people what doesn't work. And I figured that out. That's probably why. They're like, oh my gosh, you've done so much that doesn't work, and I'm still doing stuff that doesn't work. I still test stuff and it fails, because I'm trying to find new ways to integrate and help my clients with, and also say, hey, don't do that. That didn't work. Don't waste your money on that. So yeah, I feel just, if you want to do something, figure out how much do you want to do it. Two types of people. One says, I really want this, and I'm going to do whatever it takes, that as far as it's legal, ethical, and moral. Okay. And I'm going to do whatever it takes, and I'm just going to keep going. That's that person. That's why they're successful, because the basis was, I'm just going to keep going. It's not, I'm only going to keep going if this goes really well and smoothly right away. Then you have the people that say, I want all this. I want to make $1 million a year or two or whatever. I really want it. And they're all fired up when they're telling you what they want. It's exciting and fun. But then when you ask them, are you willing to do this? Oh, I don't know. I don't know. And basically, I don't know. I only want to work 3 hours a day. And yeah, I never want to work any weekends. And I don't really want to sell. And but I want $1 million. And do I say to those people, you're never going to get $1 million with that kind of attitude. Never. So do you really want this or not? And they're like, yeah, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you want it? They're like 5, 6. That's never going to work. You need to be at a 10. And you need to be at a 50. I'm joking, but you need to be at a 10. So figure out, what do you want? Write it down. I want this. Okay. I really want. Okay. Now ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how much do I want that? Okay. Then you're C. Then you ask yourself, on a scale of 1 to 10, how willing am I to do whatever it takes to get to that? That's the telling. And if you're the type that really don't want to do that much, I don't want to hustle at all. And I don't mean you have to be the hustle culture, but you have to do some work. And I don't want to have anything be uncomfortable. And I don't want to not be able to do my yoga and pay to play with my kids for 3 hours a day, or I'm joking, but and have all of my evenings to myself all the time from blah, blah, blah. That's later on you get those privileges. And I also don't want to do this. And I don't, then if you're in that category where you know that you are not going to do what you see those beasts doing, like working hard, okay? Because you do need to do some hard work. They say, oh, you don't need to work hard, you need to work smarter. No, I'm sorry. First, you got to work hard. Then you work out the working smarter. Then that happens, okay? First, you're just like, how do I do this? If you're not willing, give yourself a break, because the people that spend their lives wanting something that they are not prepared to do what it takes to get it are living in limbo. Their whole life is, and it's a very icky feeling to want stuff, not want to do what it takes to get it, because you won't get it. You're just basically creating pain for yourself. So you're better off being clear, because then you can let it go. You can say, you know what? I'm just going to be content, because my thing is I want people to be happy and content no matter what. So then they could say, you know what? I'm not prepared to do what it takes. And I know that. So why don't I let it go? Why don't I just be happy being who I am? Because there's no criticism. Everybody's different. We're all beautiful. We're all pure love. It's just, maybe you're just not cut out for it. Maybe you just don't want it enough. Maybe you think you want it.
Yeah.
Maybe you do want it, but you want it to be so easy, it's never going to happen. Give yourself a break, but figure out who you are, which category. And sometimes doing that pushes you into the, yes, I am going to do what it takes. Now I'm angry, Jeanne Omlor. You made me angry at you, at me. I'm going to do what it takes. It could move you, or it could make you realize, I just want to have a chill life and I'm happy. I want to just be chill. I'd like more money, but not willing to do what it takes. That's the key.
Yeah, I completely agree. I feel like a lot of people, they want the results, but they don't want to put in the work. And I think that's just what separates successful people from unsuccessful people. And also it reminds me of this quote from Mark Manson. He said that who we are is defined by what we are willing to struggle for. So you can't be a successful entrepreneur if you're not willing to hustle and get all these rejections, and you'll never be like, he wanted to be a musician and he didn't want to do what it takes. So that was the main reason why he decided he would do something else. And I feel like that's a really important question.
I do. And it just gets you out of pain. You get people out of their pain.
So starting from a challenging financial situation, what were some of the personal obstacles you faced while building your businesses, and how did you overcome them?
The main thing was that it was the mindset. And it was keeping going on, even though it didn't look like it was working. You just got to every day say, this is a test. Now that's the big thing in business. Everything you do is a test. So that's the main thing. Is I just said to myself, everything I do is a test. And that takes pressure. And the test work, or did it not work? On small things. So did this little thing I'm doing work? I don't know yet. I'm going to test it more. So then it just makes you do the reps. Okay. And it's just a test, and you're not taking it personally. And then you're like, okay, that did work a bit better. So that test worked a bit better. Now what do I do? And if you run your business like it's just a series of tests, you have a healthier mindset, because then it's not personal. So basically it was just keeping going and believing. It's the belief that this will work, the mindset and the belief that even when things are not working, and also getting help. I always got coaching and mentoring, always, on all sorts of things. And you need that support, because you just can't do things. Somebody knows how to do it better than you, pay them. Get that help, shortcut it. So that's it. Get mentorship, coaching, keep your belief up, and do the work. That's it.
Thank you so much for coming on the podcast. And I feel like we've closed up the episode on a very important point that keep testing and believing in yourself and get coaching.
Exactly. Awesome.